We have all been there. You are staring at a search bar, trying to find one specific memo, buried inside a massive company database. It feels like hunting for a single sheet of paper in miles of identical filing cabinets. You type in your keyword, hoping for that crisp 2-page summary you know exists. But instead, the system hands you a 500-page technical manual that barely mentions what you actually need. When a search actually works well and the exact file you want pops up instantly, it is usually because of an invisible ranking algorithm working behind the scenes. Its name is BM25, which stands for Best Match 25. Without this sorting mechanism, finding anything in our modern oceans of data would be practically impossible. Think of BM25 as an incredibly fast, highly intelligent corporate librarian. Every time you hit enter, this librarian sprints through the archives and grades every single file using a specific set of rules. To see why this librarian is so effective, we have to look at the older system it replaced. The older method relied on a very basic logic. It simply counted how many times your search word appeared in a document. Here is a massive 1,000-page document where the word alpha appears 50 times, alongside a focused 2-page memo mentioning alpha 10 times. Under old counting rules, that 1,000-page monster is elevated as the top result, winning purely because it has 50 hits versus 10. That old approach rewarded bloated files simply because they had more physical space to fit words. A system based on raw counting is easily tricked by keyword stuffing, which is why we need a smarter approach. Let's see how the librarian handles a search with 3 documents. Document 1 is about a cat, 2 a dog, and 3 both. You search cat, dog. The librarian checks word rarity across the archive, called inverse document frequency. Notice cat and dog highlighted. Because cat and dog show up in 2 out of the 3 files, they aren't unique. The librarian gives them a moderate rarity score. If you searched for an extremely obscure word that only appeared in one place, it would score much higher. Next, the librarian zeroes in on a single file to count how many times your search words appear. This is term frequency. Focusing on document 3, the librarian tallies a single hit for cat and 1 for dog, establishing an initial baseline score. These first 2 rules build a solid foundation based on rarity and count. But on their own, they still leave the system vulnerable to the trick where long, rambling documents score artificially high. To close that loophole, the librarian accounts for the total size of the file, a rule called document length normalization. Check out this balancing scale. The librarian looks at document 3, which is exactly 6 words long, and weighs it against the average length of every file in the archive. Let's say that average is 5 words. Because document 3 is very close to the average length, it proves it gets straight to the point. It mentions both search terms without burying them in unrelated fluff, so it receives a boost to its score. Behind the desk, the librarian has 2 tuning dials, labeled K1 and B. These allow administrators to fine-tune how aggressively these rules are applied. The K1 dial limits the impact of repeating a word. If someone games the system by typing dog 100 times, the K1 dial ensures the score plateaus early, keeping the results fair. Meanwhile, the B dial controls how strictly the system penalizes lengthy files. Turn it up, and long documents are punished heavily. Turn it down, and the system becomes more forgiving of higher page counts. These tuning dials make the math flexible. They allow engineers to customize the search logic for anything from short chat messages to dense legal contracts. The librarian has now weighed the rarity of the words, counted their frequency, and adjusted for the length of the text. As we see in this ranking diagram, all 3 files are assigned a final number, and they reorder themselves. Document 3 securely lands in the number 1 spot with the highest score. It earns that top position not by having the most words, but by achieving a precise mathematical balance of relevance and brevity. Now, take that desktop exercise and multiply it by billions. Out in the real world, this algorithm is processing massive streams of data across global server rooms at lightning speed. BM25 acts as the engine for modern web search, filtering out irrelevant noise to surface the best web pages in a fraction of a second. It powers digital libraries for researchers hunting down specific academic papers, and it drives the massive internal search platforms used by global corporations. Even with the rapid rise of modern machine learning, this algorithm is so reliable that it remains a gold standard in search science. Newer tools are constantly measured against its performance. So the next time you type a query into a search bar and the exact file you need instantly appears on screen, You know exactly what is happening behind the scenes. It is the elegant, balancing logic of the invisible corporate librarian.